The university has formed a special working group on the history of African Americans at W&L. Doug Harwood, editor of the Rockbridge Advocate, wrote a story 16 years ago on the history of slavery at the school.
It was pretty much common knowledge around the schools that John Robinson gave his slaves to the school. It was no secret that W&L had slaves. And over the years, just I guess because of how collective memory works or doesn't work, it just sort of got forgotten about.
Jockey John Robinson, who was a member of the Washington College Board of Trustees, set up a distillery where he employed many slaves. When he died in 1826, his will left money, land, and 84 slaves to the college.
I think it's an important time because we do know these stories, and we want to incorporate all of the history of our campus sort of very openly. But again, recognizing this is not the only part of our history, and probably not the only part of this particular era of history. But as we began to look at this, we wanted to recognize it, understand that it's difficult, but that's a part of our history we need to explore.
Next month, the group will install a historical marker in front of Robinson Hall with documents that show the university's involvement with slavery.
I think moments like this really are interesting because they represent a profound shift where we begin to think about monuments and inclusion and a way that we can sort of contest who belongs in these spaces. So if we think of spaces in which Confederate monuments have predominated, there's a much larger question now of including also monuments to slavery to remind us that they were also people here that were not just these Confederate heroes. And so I think it makes a much richer and more complex narrative, which I think is really good.
Next month, W&L will host a panel and invite other Virginia universities to continue the conversation of the history of African Americans on their campuses. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Barbara Bent.